Hi, everybody. My name is Marcos Cassiano, and I'm here to tell you about some of my tales from the road, some of my adventures that happen along the highways and byways of the U.S., Canada, but never Mexico. So this one actually takes place kind of on the highways as I make this big circle from Huntsville to Decatur, Alabama to Madison, Alabama, and back home to Huntsville. So what happened was this is between 95 and maybe 2000. In that period, I started teaching drum lessons. And the way it came about was a good friend of mine, his name was Ray. He sometimes would come to Huntsville and visit me. And one day he kind of mentioned, hey, you should start teaching drum lessons, And at the time, I'm not really interested in teaching lessons, and he kept pushing me and encouraging me. And I said, what am I gonna teach them? And he says, well, just show them what you know. Let's just start from there, which was really good advice because that's basically what I ended up doing was showing them what I knew. So one day I'm playing this club in Decatur, and this lady comes up to me. She was the sister of the club owner, and she asked me, would you be willing to teach my son drum lessons? And I go, yeah, I thought about it. Yeah, I would. So she gave me her address. I think the next day I went to their house. I met her son. He had a drum set in the bedroom. So we started our first lesson, and it was like, okay, where do I start from? Well, basically, I just kind of just started talking to him and see what his interests were. So as time went on, I had a notebook, and I would keep track of our progress and what I taught him. Like this week I taught him this, the next week this, and that went on for about 3 months. Then one day I get a call from a guy, and he's teaching at a music store in Madison, Alabama. And he says, Marcus, I've got 10 students, but I just don't have time to teach them anymore. Would you want to take over the practice? There's 10 kids there. And I said, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do it. So I did. So I went from one student to all of a sudden now I've got 11 students. Now the good thing was that because I had taken notes and kept track of my first student, it kind of I kind of developed a system on how to teach, where to start, and how to progress and everything like that. And if I hadn't done that, or let's say when I started teaching, if I had started with 10 kids, I would have been a little overwhelmed because I had no system. I really didn't know what to do, where to start from. But because I had that system and I had these 10 kids, I was organized. So it was like, whew, wow, I'm not overwhelmed. I've got this little system here, and I'm working on it. That's how I would work my lessons. Every kid wrote his name down, had a page for him. Okay, so one thing I would always notice that the kids always came in pretty wired because they're coming in from school. It's in the afternoon, between 3 in the afternoon till like 6 in the evening was when I basically taught the bulk of my lessons. And so because of that, they weren't always like interested in me starting the lesson right away. I would say, okay, kids, sit down, we're going to do this. And they would always like, they weren't focused yet. And I realized that because they were wired coming from school, that what they really wanted was they wanted to talk to me for a few minutes, and sometimes as much as 10 minutes. They would talk to me. Once they got everything off their chest, they calmed down, and now they were ready to listen. So now we could start the lesson. So that's the one thing I learned, to just listen to the kids for 5-10 minutes, and then you'll start the lessons. Now another thing that happened was around summertime, every summer, the lessons will kind of fall off because the kids are out of school, the families are going on vacation, so a lot of them will drop out. This one year in particular, this one kid, his mom comes in and he says, he wants to take drum lessons this summer. He doesn't want to play baseball. He insists that he has drum lessons, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool. Rather than wanting to play baseball, he wants to have drum lessons with me. And I think part of it was, I think he just enjoyed my company. I had a good repertoire with the kids. Again, I think a lot of it had to do, I would listen to them. And so I think this one kid, I think he just enjoyed my company. He would come in, he'd do his 10-minute spiel, get everything off his chest. Boom, it's time to do our drum lesson. So that worked out pretty good. I learned to listen and then start the lesson. Okay, so one day I get this message on Facebook, because on Facebook you can message people through Messenger, and it was a former student of mine wanting to know if I was the Marcos who taught him drum lessons, and I taught drum lessons in Decatur, and I wrote him back and say, yeah, I am. So he sends me a message back and gives me his phone number, and I call him. I said, hey, this is Marcos, how you doing? I assume you want a refund for all those lessons I taught you, And he goes, no. He says, first he says, I wasn't sure if that was you because, you look different because, when he knew me, I had long hair, a nice long ponytail, and on my profile, my hair was short. I think I had a tie on and everything, and he thought I looked real official, like I was a businessman or something like that. But anyways, he starts to tell me that he just wanted to thank me, not for the lessons. He wanted to thank me because he said that I got him through a difficult period in his life. And again, it has to do with, I let the kids come in, I let them talk, I let them get things off their chest. And I guess you just never know how that's gonna, or I guess you just never know how important that was to the kid, for them to sit with me and just to talk. And so he says, my parents were going through a divorce at the time. It was a difficult period in my life, but when I would come in with drum lessons with you, he says that really helped me. That was a thing that really helped me to get through my parents' divorce. And it's one of those things you never know in life. Something little that you do, like just letting kids talk, how that's going to really impact them, and how that was the right thing to do. And I think the lesson learned from the whole thing was, I learned to listen twice as much and speak very little. And the whole thing was, they just came in, they would talk, and then we would do our little drum lesson. Okay, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed it, and God bless, and we'll see you later.